We got it in the post. That explains what we did. So you don't need your own record.
No. Yeah, but that was a pretend.
We're not doing any bearing down this way.
Well, once I get this going, they will be.
Now I think you just got a chainsaw, don't you, Dave, and just chop the tree down to get the leaves.
Well, they won't let us use one, so I can't.
This is a state forest, so surely.
Oh,
Is that taking the branches down good enough for you?
Yeah. As long as you get the...
This is about 4 times out of 5.
Right.
Especially if you're paying out enough.
Jackie's just preparing tags, is she? Right.
Nobody wants to go with you.
I'm going with them too. That's alright, no?
Who are you taking the video with?
You sure you know where you're going, Steve?
Absolutely.
Where are we going?
I don't care if you don't know where you're going, as long as you know how to get back.
Posts in?
Well, we put the start post in the northwest corner,
Northwest corner.
just to be consistent with all the plots. Yeah, the rock.
Theoretically, so we can find it again as well.
So we can find it. Alright. In how many years' time do you think people might come back again? You hope.
Okay.
Just checking the identity of the Terrastylus orchid.
Terrastylus orchid.
Yeah, one of the green hoods.
And you go through the effort of keying it right out, do you? Here in the field?
Usually not, but I thought it would make it a bit quicker. They're easier to tell when they're fresh. Once they dry out, they're not quite as easy.
Right.
But I won't spend too much time on it because let's do all the rest of the vegetation.
Irritable labellum, that little tongue-like structure where the insect touches and it pulls them in and to pollinate. And you also notice at the back they've got these little windows.
Oh yeah.
So the insect sees the light through the back and heads towards that. So they're quite well designed to be pollinated by insects.
Very good. What are you up to, Steve? A 20-metre transect. Right. Back to the yay old stake. Right, so you just put a bit of tape in down there, do you?
Yeah, we've only got the one tape, so you got biodegradable tape for us.
Pleased to hear it.
Just like the stake.
Biodegradable stakes, yes. In 300 years you wouldn't know it would have been there.
Oh, no, it's not.
Oh, yeah. So what, Steve, you're laying them out on sort of north, south, east, west lines then, were you?
South and east. So there's a star Phyllis in the northwest corner.
Right, south and east. And what, you're just recording site details, are you?
Yep. You got a name for this site yet?
No.
I'll call it Nick 1. What map sheet's this?
Olinda? Oh no.
Is Olinda? Or is it the other one?
I think you're just into Coonguba.
Oh, yeah.
Coonguba 125 hour. What other site details are you recording straight off?
Well, mainly where it is. There's general location, which gives just a rough idea. Like I'll say, so many metres up from the track. We'll work it out. The soils, micro relief of the area, runoff, any outcropping, where it is on the slope, aspects, altitudes, map geology, horizontal elevations, and the growth forms of the forest heights and densities and main species. And then we flip it over and do the species makeup on the other side. This gives us looking for grubs. Now
Guess I'm going to go fishing.
looking at the soil.
So just a bit of a soil description.
Yeah, it's just
A silty sandy clay loam.
Yep. Very common. Yeah, bring on sandy loamy sand. Sandy loam.
But you know clay, is there any clay at all?
No, there's a little bit, but it's not
General sort of style of recording to be used all over the world.
But all over this part of the world, it's a standard sheet. It just depends on individuals' interpretations of the various things. So I mean, that's standard as standard can be with different observers.
But it's what Nick told you to do.
Alright, it's what Nick told me to do.
Alright, now it's the clinometer.
Yeah. I'll just do the horizontal azimuth.
I think Steve has too, hasn't he? Yeah, so anything, particularly the more unusual species or even the common ones going on the wildlife atlas cards and going into any etheries for the wildlife atlas of New South Wales.
Right, have you sort of noticed anything out of the ordinary in your last couple of months?
Oh, we've seen big glossy black cockatoos a few times, which is always good to see. Haven't seen those for a while. Rock wallabies yet. They could be around. That's right, I showed you those droppings.
Yes. Do you reckon we'll wallow in the end?
Yeah, down about euros, yeah.
But anyway, anything might crop up in the next few months. What's going on now?
Just taking samples of plants, and I'm not certain of the species. It's an acacia, but the key out later on for a positive identification. So, being in a new area, I don't know all the plants. The Jaqui orchids. Which, there's a few orchids with heart-shaped leaves, but Achianthus always have a red underside like that.
Oh, right.
But unfortunately there's about 4 or 5 species, it could be, until they finish with their flower heads. It's very difficult to tell what they are. In fact, it's impossible. So it's quite likely it's Achianthus fornicatus, which is a common one, but there's a few others it could be as well. Bush tucker too, if you dig up the bulb on them, they're a small tube of quite starchy and crisp and sweet. So plenty of them around.
Because when you're doing the rare and endangered species recording, you don't go through the whole site recording you're doing now?
Well, yeah, we do actually. We record all the species associated with it, which will be useful later on for predicting where you're likely to find a particular rare and endangered, combining that with the geology. Although we don't do cover abundance, as Steve's Steve does, but certainly mark down all the species we find. And I do much the same as Jaqui does and take all the unknowns back to identify later on.
Do you have to send away many to the herbarium for identification, or are you able to do key out most of them yourselves?
Well, so far we're doing fairly well. We're keying out, between us, we're keying out most of them. We've sent down probably about 20 at most so far, I think. And some of those were just for confirmation rather than completely unknowns. We haven't been completely stumped yet. But we've got a few more to send down shortly, particularly with some of the difficult ones that we think we know what they are, but we just like them confirmed.
Assessing the height and cover abundance of the various tree forms. There's tree forms from the tree and shrub and the bird layer. Including the one species is very subjective, objective, everyone's interpretation is different again.
So you're working out percentage canopy, I take it?
Yeah, of all the tree species. You look up and you think, and you assess how much of the project is covered by canopy. So 50-60%. You do the same for the small tree layer, which makes the subdivision.
And what are you saying it is here in terms of percentage canopy?
Trees, it's sort of getting towards in the fight. I've said 60 to 70. So the big question is, do you take it as it is, or do you get all the branches and put them all together and bunch them all up, which goes up to 20% or so. And I'm leaving it as it is and just looking at saying, yeah, there's a big lot there, there's a lot, and there's a bit of a gap over there. So it's about 60 or 70. As long as you're consistent between the spot.
Right, so it's consistency during the whole time of your survey that matters. And if other workers come along and they're different,
it makes it difficult, but yeah.
And what do you reckon about shrub cover down here?
Well, shrub cover is not really dense at all. Just working with it. I've said there's a small tree layer, 3 to 5 metres, which is the saplings and the acacias, and then there's a bit more of the acacia down in the shrub layer, and some bracken lower down. It's very sparse, 10 to 20% at the most.
Occasional lamandra too.
Yeah.
Right, getting into the species now, eh?
Looks like the dominant tree is Piperia. Did you get some of those in? Yeah, I got that down. There's a Chiloglottis species as well. You got some there? Yep. I've got that. There's a Melicris. I think it's Equiolatus. Yeah. Okay. Hydrocotyle. Dunfilaris. We've got a glycine species.
Wombat berry.
Yeah. Edible tuber. There's down here we've got a what looks like a giant moss, but I think it's Astrolomi in England. No, to be pinnaphone. Pinnaphone. What is it? Hemifusum. Viola Vegetation. There's another Viola down there too, I think. It's the other one.
That's another finish.
Yeah, that's all okay. We've got no China program. Kind of program species. And I think we've also got a stoker species which I'll pick up earlier. Which is this one. It's not fresh.
Just grass, isn't it?
Yeah.
So take home with you every species that you're recording?
No, only those
Just to verify the ones.
Yeah.
Just to be sure.
Yeah. Like these are always a difficult one to tell on the field, the geraniums. I think it's cylinder right. It's not the easiest thing. No, that will look creepy. You're doing where you might have in the rainforests you might have a 20 metre plot that's completely covered by one fig tree, so it, ordinary statistics will come out a very important plant, but if you rate that back to rather an importance value, then you can adjust it, compare it to the other plants in the plot, particularly like the herbs or shrubs. There might be hundreds of a small shrub, but it might only cover 10%, whereas one tree might cover the whole thing, or 50%. Depends what you want to do with statistics later on.
What do you think you might be doing with these statistics?
Well, that's up to Nick, I think.
Just tell us too what will be done with these statistics you are recording in terms of cover abundance?
In terms of cover abundance, they go on the database. Cover abundance. They will help form the vegetation classes for mapping. So we can look at all the plots we've done on the database, and we can sort them using pattern on the basis of the species makeup floristically, and also on structure. So depending on the cover abundance of certain key species, that'll help bring out the groups.
Yeah, the way we're doing it, you can pick up different community types. Like you might look at one area, compare two areas, and the tree species are the same, but if you run it through statistically with all the herb species as well, then it might pick it out as a different habitat, or a different community type.
So you've got a program, I take it, where you can feed this information, and the computer will drag out those classes for you?
Yes, it does that. It puts it out as a kind of dendrogram, and as further you go down, the greater the association.
Yes, so
separate that one. That's the same as the other one as well. Yeah. That's Triolanthes. It's the non-hairy ones. This is one of those little Achianthus orchids I showed you before, the heart-shaped leaf. This one's actually in flower. I think it's fornicatus from the flower, but I'll have to check that later. But fornicatus obviously means what it sounds like. It has an insect to pseudo-copulate with it to pollinate it. There's a whole group of them, the others like the gnat orchids and ant orchids and things like that in the Achianthus family. All the orchids have this little, what you call a column, where all the male and female parts are, and that's what sticks the pollen onto the insect's back, and then it flies off to the next one, which picks it up if it's already given up its pollen. Well, I'm looking up in the canopy for buds and fruit. This eucalypt's one of the red gum root, and it's difficult to tell some apart unless you've got both fruit and buds. We've got some buds. I'm just looking to see if we can get some fruit that are within range of my shotgun. Preferably ones that are not on half-inch thick branches because I won't. Plus, to see what you're shooting to start with. And you can shoot branches down that you might not get in the string bark there's got some fruit and flowers on. Sort of up in there. So it's not one of the peppermints. It's one of the string barks. So I'll shoot some down if I can. Yeah, ear protection in first.
Real wise.
Yeah, one shot's okay, but when I fire a few times it starts to get deaf in one ear. Please.
Did you get the fruit? No.
Fruit. There was another bit that fell. Did you see where that went?
No, it came down about over there that I saw. Is that it?
I saw one come down here. We'll have to have another go at it, I think.
Trying to see if we get fruit, eh?
Yeah, I know exactly where they are. Whether I can... that's it. I got the right branch. No, there you go. Bud.
Great. Buds and fruit, eh?
Well, bud. Quite fruit. I think they're quite unusual buds. I haven't seen that species before, but we should be able to key it out. They're quite distinctive.
Very good.
So it's one of the stringy bucks there.
Hello, Pete. Get right there. When we're doing we're gonna best tractor and that out here, we're watching whatever we dug up and turned over, diving the worms and that.
Oh, you saw everything.
Several and trees. We've got a couple of back on that. We've got this one.
Yeah, it'll take it.